Hi, welcome to the Newfoundland Lanes, episode number 11. Looking forward to chatting with you today about our new upcoming season. This is Michael Winsor, your host and co-host, Cory Babstock.
Nope.
Looking to chat about what's going to come up this season and looking forward to the icebergs and puffins and whales that's going to be showing up.
Right.
So, how's your winter going, Cory?
Winter's been, well, it's been winter. Last year, we didn't have a whole lot of snow or extremely cold temperatures last year. It was just kind of like an extended fall followed by an early spring. To this year, boy, I tell you, we're making up for it. Lots of snow, lots of cold, lots of winter. Let's be clear of it now.
I'm finding too. I got a backyard rink built again this year, but it was a hard one because we had a lot of rain in between so far. It's only now we're actually getting a little bit of a cold snap.
Yeah,
So I just came in from doing the backyard.
it's been hard, boy. I've been out a couple of times trying to just see if I can see any eagles around. Our mergansers are back in the bay down here, so I've been down photographing them. And it's, that type of temperature where your hand almost freezes onto your camera when you're trying to take the shots, right? And, I didn't experience that at all last year. Now, that might be a sign of getting old and arthritic too, but it's been a lot colder. So,
Especially now, I've been teaching a course for some new Canadians there in the last few weeks. And we actually was out to it yesterday morning.
right,
Morning.
Yeah.
And it was cold. And we're not used to it when you're kind of taking pictures of puffins on sunny days versus being out in the cold. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, well, I mean, God knows we've had some cold times out on the Zodiac too, but it's not like this.
No.
But I'm looking forward to that.
But that's like a Zodiac, at least you got your survival suit on and stuff too. Maybe you should get a survival suit for being out in the winter time.
Survival suit. I thought you were going to say survival suit for the podcast. It might get a bit. Yeah, it's been a good winter yourself. You've been busy doing some teaching and flooding some rinks and watching the Maple Leaf lose.
Like I said, I was out there yesterday, taking some pictures, showing them how to take pictures of really, really new photography. So you can turn the camera on and off pretty much. So it's kind of different.
Were you doing like landscape stuff with them or?
Yeah, kind of teach them how to shoot in manual mode and exposure triangle.
That's funny because this is going into my fourth season now with the tours, which is hard to believe, but it is what it is. I remember first when I started doing my first couple of tours, I thought there was going to have to be a lot more of that hands-on teaching, which is fine if it comes up. That's what we're here for. But most people who take the photo tours are for the most part fairly comfortable with their skills and they don't require a lot of hands-on. I thought there would be a lot more of it, but in your case with the teaching, I mean that's absolutely 100% hands-on because these guys are coming in with zero knowledge. So that's a bit different.
Yeah, it's a bit different. I just find the difference when you're out on a landscape is more relaxed than standing up in front of a classroom where you're talking for a period of time.
Oh yeah, no, give me that all day long. I'd much rather be teaching somebody out on a cliff than sitting down in a classroom.
PowerPoint. But I was out Kitty Bitty yesterday and there was a seal down there, which is pretty cool.
Oh, good. Yeah, imagine. That's something I've noticed. It seems like and it might just because I'm paying more attention to it, but there seems to be a lot more wildlife in the bays, like a lot more seals. I've seen a lot more otters. Like I've never seen so many otters in my life as I've seen in the past year or so. And the seals are coming right in on the wharfs, and for us as photographers, it's great.
Yeah, like I said, the seal was down there yesterday. It was exciting because, this was the first time we saw a seal. But I only went down just with my wide angle, 24 to 105. So you can't get too close.
Right, yeah.
But I might have to run down again some morning, see if he's still there.
The main wharf? The one up by the Artisan Loft?
So usually the seals used to haul themselves up on that in the wintertime.
Right.
But now it seems like there's another spot. I don't want to tell too many people because then, how it goes. Everyone's with a camera trying to take pictures of the wildlife. But they're in another place now.
We had last year, there was a seal hanging out in Champneys West. And I had a couple of tours that, in the span of 2 weeks, it was hanging out there for a whole 2 weeks. I went down there and it was just basking on the rocks. It was kind of nice. Again, it was the first time these people had seen seals. So,
yeah. Speaking of rare. Remember that there was a walrus in here a few years ago,
I saw you
and
shared the photo again the other day.
yeah, and I just shared it. Tried to say it's kind of relevant. But anyway, it went one of those viral things that just went crazy, and people were sharing it. So,
Right.
but anyway, it wasn't intentional, so I did
No.
change it after saying it was, a few
You,
years
you
ago.
you almost caught me. I was just about to send you a message saying, "Is that today?" And then I looked at it and said, "No, no, 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 that can't be today." So, but yeah, that's why when I post photos, I always try to post at least the year, if not the date or the month, even like August 2024 or something, just to because
Yeah.
people do that all the time. You get messages, "Oh, where was this? Where did you take this photo?" And if you got that date in there, then at least it takes care of that question.
For icebergs now, of course we do for sure because I
Yeah,
want to make sure people don't go place for icebergs. But you know, when it comes to myself posting on social media, I really dislike the social media, but I know it's
yeah.
so just to get the picture up there and out. Anyway, it was kind of funny
I
because
used
I didn't understand why all of a sudden because I posted in the past and then it didn't really go anywhere, and all of a sudden it's
right.
like, oh,
Well, you never know, right? We've talked about that before. I think like you post up a photo that you think, oh, this one's going to go crazy because it's a great photo, and you get like 2 or 3 likes on it, and then you post up something from a few years ago, boom, it's no rhyme or reason to it. Don't seem so. So you just mentioned icebergs. What do you think? What's your thoughts on this year? I mean, last year was a banner year for icebergs. We had a lot of icebergs late into the season and early in the season. Last year in May month, there was icebergs in Twillingate area. Any thoughts on what you might anticipate for this year, or
I'm hoping there's going to be a lot, and now it's getting cold, and it looks like it's going to be cold for a while. The way I look at it, if it's cold and you get a lot of sea ice or pack ice,
pack ice,
that keeps the icebergs closer to the land. That's what I
right?
find. So the later, the cooler it gets, the more pack ice we'll get. And then when the pack ice starts to leave and it goes offshore, it kind of leaves the big icebergs behind. So I'm hoping we'll get some more cold weather, even a lot of people don't want the cold.
See, the price you pay, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because I know we were looking at, and I think a lot of people are hoping that we're going to get an early iceberg season this year. I know we were looking for bookings that are in Twillingate area for places to stay in May month, and I mean it's booked solid. So even in
Yeah.
May, so I think people are just coming, based on last year's early appearance and keeping their fingers crossed that we're going to run into the same kind of luck this year. I hope so. It's
Yeah.
very exciting. Everybody gets very excited when there's a lot of icebergs in the bay.
Oh, it was awesome. And like I
Yeah.
said, you've been and myself too, been out there and you see lots of icebergs, but still when you're there standing, you see this massive big chunk of ice in the water and it's just crazy.
There's always that anticipation that something's going to happen while you're there, like it's going to split or it's going to roll or a big sheet of ice is going to come off the side. And sometimes that happens, and you're lucky enough to catch it. I know you caught an amazing one where was it the arch collapsed or the
Yeah.
the pillar collapsed?
Yeah.
So there's
Out in,
always that anticipation.
out in grade school, that was. But just to
Yeah,
go and say that, because last year we were in 28 with that big massive one that was so huge. That was like really big. So
yeah,
we're out there with two people and we're waiting and waiting. I said, well, if we leave, if it collapse, we're going to miss it. And so I decided to leave. And as we're walking away, we heard a big bang.
yeah,
And then we look
yeah,
back and they all start coming out. So we all start running back very fast.
yeah.
So and I just put my
Say,
camera in the air and start shooting as I was running. I didn't really get anything, but it's fun to hear.
similar thing. We were down in Bata Vista, and it's the one that was down in Ventura. Was down for a long time. That ended up drifting right up into the bay there in Bata Vista, and we could hear it. Like we were in the Zodiac. We were circling around. You could hear like that sound, and we were like, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And finally, Skipper Bob said, we could spend all day here, and nothing will happen. And we started to go away to look for other stuff, and we heard a big crack behind us, and looked, and the whole front face was sliding off. We didn't get any pictures of that, but we had some great photos after of all the broken up ice in the water in the forefront that wasn't there a couple of seconds ago. So it's amazing. You kind of think this year.
Oh, absolutely. Icebergs, and you don't know when they're going to crack up. And even when they break up and roll, it's like a whole new
Yeah.
iceberg.
Oh yeah, you get the striations and everything from where it was scraping on the bottom, come up to the top, and it gives it a whole different look.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's no two icebergs the same. It's like snowflake. So every time you go to photograph, it's a completely new experience.
And sometimes then you get the real dirt on top, almost looks like or ice
Yeah,
cream.
yeah, and it made like a McFlurry or something. What's exciting for me, and I know you do because we talked about this before, is the iceberg's different every time, but we're always there with guests that probably have never seen an iceberg in their lives. Like this is the first time they've seen them. And to be there when they get their reactions to that, like I remember was that last year, year before, I had a guest and there was an iceberg and it was way off, like way off, and just a little small dot on the horizon. We were looking at it, and I thought she was going to start crying, and I was disappointed myself because I've been so close to them and photographed them so many times. I said, "Well, geez, this is no big deal. This iceberg way off in the distance." But for her, it was the first time she'd ever seen it, and she was just like, "What?" So that's the nice thing about our guests. It makes us appreciate what we have too, because I would have just taken that for granted, not even thought twice about it. But for her, it was one of these bucket list moments taken care of, and it was a huge deal.
Yeah, that's what I found too. Once I was down in Fogo, actually, a long time ago, taking pictures. And I grew up around the bay, so even when I was a kid, I was around icebergs.
Yeah,
Bucket list thing.
that's the same. It's not just the icebergs. I mean, same thing when they first time they see a puffin. Like I've had one lady actually, she started crying, tears started coming from her eyes because the puffins were over close, and she never imagined in a million years that she was going to be able to get that close and up personal with them. And she was just so emotional because this is something she never imagined she was going to be able to see that close.
Capture the beauty of wildlife, icebergs, and incredible landscapes through your own camera lens. With expert instruction, workshops, guided tours, and more. Newfoundland Photo Tours. Book your experience today.
Yeah, we had a lot of people that actually went other places like Iceland and other places to find puffins to get pictures, and they're struck out. But we never, I'd say we're 99.9% sure it's a good puffin.
Yeah.
And
One
they're
of the things
amazing.
I always say, I can almost guarantee you're going to see a puffin. I can't guarantee you they're going to be really close, but I can guarantee that you will, you'll see them. And what I've been finding recent years, is people are enjoying seeing them on the Zodiac almost as much because it's completely different. Now, you see a puffin on the water and you see how home it is in the water up close and personal on the Zodiac. It's a completely different feeling than seeing them on land. And the number of people who are enjoying shooting them in the water. I mean, I say, okay, let me back up for a second because we run into this all the time too. When I say shooting them on the water, I mean photographing them on the water. I find that's a completely different experience photographing them in the environment they're more comfortable in because they're pretty clumsy in the air and they're pretty clumsy on the land, but in the water, man, they're a completely different animal.
Yeah, Sydney moose last year.
Was that last year? Yeah, I saw a couple. We did get really good photos because they were side of the road kind of thing. And by the time you get out of the car and get your camera set up, they're gone through the bush. But I did have I don't know, last year or the year before, I had a gentleman that, that was one of his bucket list things. He went to see a moose, and we were on our way up from Bonavista, and two moose walked up on the side of the road. And, he got some photos, and that was one of those situations where he was just like, his heart was beating out of his chest. He was so excited. But moose are tricky, and you know this yourself because I know you've been for years trying to get the money shot of a moose, and they're faster than you think, and they're on the side of the highway for a minute, then they're gone. So they're tricky.
Yeah, I've been, like I said, I got a couple of pictures, but they're just not the best. I kind of want one where the sun is rising with the mist on the water, and then the moose is there with a nice light with the big antlers, so kind of looking.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to find that picture.
Well, what we did run into this year, though, first of all I've seen down there was we were coming out from Cape St. Mary's, and we had a herd of caribou on the road coming out of Cape St. Mary's, and that was a lot of fun. That was a tour I did September or October, one of the later ones. The gannets were the only thing that were left down in Cape St. Mary's, and some harriers. There were some birds of prey around, but we came up, there was a nice herd, beautiful big stag, caribou, right in the middle of the road. That was a fun experience. We got some great shots. Lighting was nice.
Yeah, you get some caribou dinner, but as you know, up in Port de Soie, the great spot. So this year, actually, we're doing another tour this fall coming up looking for caribou, and then there's moose up that way, and there's still nice landscapes up there.
That road going out to the lighthouse of Port de Soie is just covered with, I've never seen so many foxes in my life. They're obviously, it happens everywhere where there's a fox and there's humans. They end up getting fed, and that's obvious down there too. I remember because coming back from the lighthouse, which is a fantastic lighthouse to photograph at sunset. But I was on my way back and there was a fox on the side of the road and I pulled over my car. By the time I got around the back of the car, fox was up looking at my passenger window, waiting for something to come out of the passenger window. And there were 3 other foxes behind him. It's like they got one guy there to get you to stop, and then when you stop, they come up looking for a handout, right? So,
That's the worst thing when people feed them. Up on Signal Hill this year, actually, there was a fox that was hit because people feed them and then they come out to, you know, get
but they come out
scared.
looking for the cars. You have no, it's unfortunate. Happens everywhere. Like I said, keep Spirit sample you, or keep Signal Hill sample
Signal Hill.
you. But Bonavista, the ones that were down by the lighthouse, same thing. They were getting fed. And I remember, and I'm not going to say where it was because I don't want to reveal where they might den there again. But I went to where I knew there was a den, and there were 4 or 5 empty Big Mary wrappers just left behind there.
Yeah, that's
Right?
crazy.
Well, it's crazy because have you seen the price of a Big Mary?
Yeah.
But it was obvious that they were getting the foxes to come over with some food.
The worst that I've seen is out there, just out in around Port Newfoundland. Like there's not much traffic, but still they had a leftover, I guess, box of cereal poured out in the middle of the road on top of a little grade, little hill. So it's
Yeah.
like you're just wanting somebody to run over a fox by putting food right in the middle of the road for this, you know.
Yeah, so that's,
Yeah.
to flip this back to what we do, and something we talk about a lot on the tours, is having respect for the wildlife and respecting their space, not getting too close to them, not using that type of method to get them to come over.
That's
It's now, if you're there and they come over to you of their own volition, then, that's it. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's like with the puffins. Like I have a photo of a puffin almost on the tip of my shoe. Not because I walked over to where the puffin was, but because the puffin came over to where I was.
I like to say that when it comes to the puffins, there's people that likes to get too close. I remember when it was last year, there was this guy trying to get really close, like getting down and crawling over, and it was only like 5-6 feet away from the puffin at that point. They're still trying to get closer. So I went over and I told him, like, it's illegal. You got to stay 8 feet or 12 feet at least away from a puffin.
It's on the sign there anyway. See, it's
The
not certainly
signs
not
are
5
green
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was there, right? And I sort of told him, and he acted like he didn't know. I guess he was there with his girlfriend and trying to impress. So I told him, and then so he backed off, but before he even got around the corner, I looked back and it was up there doing it again.
That's the downside of those signs. And I don't, personally, I know why the signs are there. I don't like what it does to the skyline out there. Like it's kind of an eyesore for taking, because that used to be a nice photo just as you first arrived at the colony, looking out across there. Now you got those signs. It is what it is. But the signs are only good if people are A, going to read them in the first place, and B, follow the rules that are on it, and C, the rules are being enforced by somebody.
What I find is like there's all kinds of people looking for summer students. That's all you need is a couple summer students at the shifts out there and put on one of those orange vests or say something on the back and just keep an eye on things.
And just having somebody out there with a vest on with wildlife or puffin patrol or something on it to, signify that that's what they're there for, people won't do it because they say, well, there's somebody here watching me. But as it stands now, laws and rules are only made for the people who are going to follow the law or obey the rules. That's why going back again to relate to the tours, especially when it comes to the Yellowstone colony, I always try to go away very early in the morning for a sunrise for a couple of reasons. It's, it's very quiet then. There's not a lot of people around. People who are out there at the time are generally people who are into it. They're there to photograph the puffins and to enjoy the puffins. But the lighting is magnificent out there too at sunrise. And I spent a lot of time last year working on getting silhouette shots of puffins with the sunrise behind them. That was like one of my little goals for the season last year was to get those shots. And it's pretty magical and it's quiet. You go out there in the afternoon and it's like Disneyland.
Oh yeah, I love it out there too. Sunrise, sunset for sure is always the best for any wildlife.
Yeah.
I like the sunset out there too because with the sunset, you get the light coming right into their faces.
Yeah.
And
Picks up their eye really well.
Like I said, you're so close to them with the big lenses, is that you can see myself in their eyeball taking a picture.
I have one, not of myself, but it was so close you could pick up the reflection, but there was a puffin next to it that was reflected in its eyeball. So you can see another puffin in it.
And you can see the sunset in his eye with the camera in his eye. It's
Awesome.
cool. But the light is out there. What I do find sometimes is in Buena Vista out there in Newfoundland, you're not in Florida, it's tricky. Because I usually find sometimes when the stores get really nice for the light, like the best kind of light you can get, clouds or something will come in. Oh, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, it was. You people say you don't come to Newfoundland for the weather. And
Yeah.
it's a good thing too, because it's not predictable. You roll with it. There's always something to photograph. And I personally, I mean, it's not ideal for wildlife, but I would prefer to shoot landscapes or seascapes or even icebergs in like a mozzie day, like fog and mist and that. It's just very dramatic and it's a great photo to get. But ideally, you'd have a mix, right? You'd have a day where the conditions were nice, clear and sunny, but then you'd have a day where it's foggy and moody. But you roll with it. You do.
Oh, yes. Sunsets and sunrises by far is 100% better when there's some clouds in the sky. Just like the picture behind you there is like with a little small bit of, light that's coming through with the clouds, and it's 10 times better than just a plain sky.
You need to have something for the light to bounce off of to make all those different, the depth and the colors. And like Buena Vista, Buena Vista and Twillingate, there's some really nice sunsets in Twillingate too, but some of my favorite sunsets in the Buena Vista region. They're just magical.
But I do find too, when it comes to Newfoundland, talking about sunrises and sunsets and the difference between the both. Of course, I find certain places is better for sunsets, and then other places are better for sunrises.
Yep.
Like Cape Spear, for sure, sunrise is an easy one because, right? Like you got the sun coming out of the ocean, and then you got the light in the lighthouse.
Yeah, best sunrise, possibility for sunrise. And it's just something I always use as a talking point with the guests too. It's like, we're seeing the sun before anybody else in North America is seeing the sun. So it's something to be said for that experience too, like seeing it before anybody else. It's
But some other places, like in St. John's, when it comes to sunset, in St. John's, there's not a really good places around because where the sun sits on the ocean over on the other side of the peninsula of Avalon. So you go to Baleen, it's not so bad because you got some water over that way. Maybe in Pooch Cove, sometimes it's not so bad. It's pretty cool.
We got some pretty good shots last year. Where the lupins all bloomed there by Signal Hill. If you get down there and shoot back towards the city, and you get the lupins in the foreground, then you get the city, and you get the sunset there.
Yeah,
worked out pretty good. But I mean, you're right. There are nicer places for sunsets.
Yeah. And then Buena Vista, of course, I think sunrise for sure. There in Cable John Cove is one of my favorites in the province.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all the sea stacks in the chimney.
Yeah, especially if you get a low-hanging mist down there, or if the sea is up and you can do a long exposure and get that velvet with the sunrise. Yeah, it's really magical.
Like I said, that's a sunrise, but sunset is, it's okay with the light, but it's really not so good at all.
Let's sit down on the road going down to the lighthouse is nice. There where the Dairy King is. You have all those old stages, and there's a couple of old sheds there, and you can shoot through the windows and stuff.
Yeah.
That makes for nice. And right by the hotel where we stay, at the Harbour Quarters, that's really nice with the Ryan premises, and you can get the reflections of the sunset in the Ryan premises windows. That's a nice spot too. There's all nice spots. And I always say to my guests, I said, there's no bad photos. There's no bad location down here. There's going to be something nice wherever we go.
It's always cool when you're kind of driving, you see another cool spot somewhere that it's like, oh, this is a new spot added to the list that we can go. Like, there's a old boat there, if you know where it is, right?
Yep, I do. I've shot that.
Oh, I know. For other people that's listening, I guess, if they don't know, you know what I mean? There's just like so many places that as we travel around that area so much now that there's no places we don't know really.
Learn how to capture the best images and develop your camera skills with workshops held in Newfoundland and Labrador's most inspiring natural landscapes. Newfoundland Photo Tours. Book your workshop today.
Sunset at Tickle Cove at the Sea Arch. If you're there at the right time, you can catch the sun setting through the arch, which is a magical shot as well.
I finally got a good picture of that with the sun flare, with the sun coming through. So, yeah, that's a good spot.
100%.
It's a bit dodgy going.
Yes, it's, we don't make our guests do anything that they're not comfortable with. And we certainly wouldn't put them out there if we felt there was a risk that way.
And that's the thing, too, just kind of changed a little bit, is that I had a question come in a while ago about we talk about cliffs and stuff in Cape St. Mary's, but it is safe. It's up to you how close you get to the edge. So you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no pressure to, to do something you're not comfortable with. But we won't put you anywhere where, there's imminent danger either. Like,
Absolutely not.
we get people all the time asking about the Zodiac trip, like how safe is the Zodiac? And explain to them that probably the safest thing you could be in on the water is.
Well, I
Go ahead.
explained to them that, you got the Coast Guard and, fisheries and oceans. They're the ones that use it more than anything. And when there's
exactly
search and rescue, they send out the Zodiacs because they're safer than the big old boats.
right. And when you got an experienced skipper like we use in all of our tours, it's safe. It's to put it that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it gets cold. I mean, in May and June, they do
Yeah.
so.
Some days they're colder, but I don't find it that bad. Just gotta, like everything in the winter, you just gotta dress for it.
Right. I've been out there and come back in with my beard, because I always got a beard, but I mean, nothing but one big chunk of sea ice
Oh, yeah?
for the spray coming up, and then it just freezes. And I got to get a good photo of that one of these days of just everything.
That must have been like really early in the season last year, was it?
Well, it would have been May 24th, somewhere around it. It was really cold.
Yeah, that's what was just starting. So usually by mid-June.
No, I mean, there's nothing freezing up on my beard in June. And in July and August, I don't even wear the survival suit. I put on just the life jacket for safety, but it gets too hot in the survival suit when you're out there.
It's crazy. And the temperature from one day to the next, like we keep explaining to people, bring all kinds of layers of clothes, because one day you could be t-shirt and shorts. Next day you need a jacket on.
I had a couple from Texas who showed up with like all hoodies and long sleeve shirts and pants, long pants, wool hats in August or late July. Typically, you'd probably be smart to do that, but this is during one of our infrequent, but we do have them, heat waves, and it was actually hotter in Bonavista Vista than it was in Texas where they came from. The first thing we had to do was go to Walmart so they could buy t-shirts and shorts because they had dressed, prepared for much colder weather.
Yeah. And like even back to when I'm teaching, like there yesterday, I went down and I explained a million times that like put all the warmest clothes you have on, because when you take a picture just standing around too, it was cold.
Right.
And one person showed up and it just had like a pair of pants on and a light jacket. Yeah. It was so usually what I do, because I always know there's one or two people showing up, is that I got some other older warm jackets. So I just throw them back in the truck to give them.
Yeah, good idea. But it's a lot easier to take a layer off than to try to, put one on when you don't have it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
always dressing it in layers. So how's the season looking, Michael? Are we going to be busy?
Yeah, we are. So anyone out there that's looking to book, and I would advise you to, if you're thinking about booking, is book now because dates are going pretty fast. Tour for June the 2nd was sold out. So I added a new tour for the week before that. And we had one or two people already signed up for that one. That's the one we go to Bonavista Vista and 20 Gateway.
Awesome.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, the Icebergs are going to be up there like last year. But it should be fun.
Well, it's one of these things too, though. Like if the icebergs aren't there, don't panic. There's still lots of other beautiful things to photograph from 20 Gate beyond the icebergs. You'll go away with a full video memory card, if you want.
Oh, for sure. And the July one, I think there's 2 places left. Well, especially if you like warmer weather, is that I definitely come in July because you got the puffins and the whales.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite.
Yeah. You're pushing your luck on icebergs in July. It's a bit late in the season, but you're right you're coming at a key time for like, peak for whales and for puffin. July is home run time.
And there's some warmer and stuff like that too. Usually.
Yeah, I know. Typically. I mean, I think it was in July last year, we went for a sunrise shoot down for the puffins then at Colony, and it was 3 or 4 degrees or something. Like it was cold, but it warmed up pretty good when the sun came up. But that's it. All part of the adventure.
I remember 5 or 6 years ago, we were down. It was one of those buffer icebergs. Like they were everywhere, even better than last year. It was so many icebergs everywhere all around. But it was so cold. It was mid-July, and I was doing a sunrise tour on Cape Spear. I put my snow pants on.
You do what you got to do. Right? Who cares? As long as you're warm. We're not here for frostbite.
But overall, like I said, we're looking forward to this season coming up there
me
again
too.
now. There's nothing like it. I always say, even when I was a kid without a camera, is those sunny mornings when the nice sunrise in the summer and you got the smell of the ocean and there's just
Yeah.
the birds or the gulls that's just making noise. It's so peaceful and relaxing, man. It's like my favorite time ever.
Like I always tell people too, where, in those situations out in Elliston or anywhere, at some point, just put your camera down. Don't worry about the shot for a minute.
Yeah.
Just soak in and appreciate,
Yeah.
where you are, the environment, the overall vibe.
Because like I said, I traveled quite a bit. And to me, still, there's nothing like a sunrise in the summer in Newfoundland when you're by the ocean. Just the
And
water
this-
and the smells.
And the sound.
And you got the heat that's coming from the sun. And everything's quiet. Just the water and the nature is just magical.
Well, come on with it.
You can't buy that stuff.
The only downside of sunrises in the summer in Newfoundland is the 3 o'clock in the morning wake up time.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a small price to pay for an amazing experience.
But you guys go for a nap after. But I think
Ex-
it's more special almost because you know there's no one else up. It's just you and
Right.
the environment, and it's so quiet.
I've had people
cool.
grumble about getting up, but I've never had anybody grumble when we were on the way back. They're
No.
all, very, very content with what we have done. And like you said, there's always a nap time. So
So, all right, then I guess with that, we'll sign off for this week and we'll do another
Awesome.
podcast. Hopefully, the next week, give another one a go. Is there anything you want to mention before we take off? Where we're located or where you can find us?
yeah, sure. You can find us on YouTube and you can find us, the podcast, anywhere where you stream your podcast, either through Spotify or Apple, whatever you use, we're there. Just look us up, Newfoundland Lanes.
And like we always say here on the Newfoundland Lanes, keep your eyes on the horizon and your heart in Newfoundland. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you.